everyone. You've probably come across headlines lately saying that taking Tylenol, also known as acetaminophen, in pregnancy causes autism in your child. It's a bold, alarming claim. I wanted to dig deeper. Does the science support it? Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through how research on this topic evolved over time, where the strongest evidence lies, and what the take-home message should be for parents. I promise, no jargon, just clear facts. Let's begin. This is Keerthika, clinical psychologist and the clinical head of ALR Child Development Centre here in Hyderabad. First, why even suspect a link? Acetaminophen is widely used. Many pregnant people take it for aches, fever, pain. Meanwhile, autism spectrum disorder is relatively common. So when observational studies showed statistical associations between prenatal acetaminophen exposure and higher risk of neurodevelopmental conditions like autism or ADHD, that sparked concern. But associations, just because two things go together, don't prove one causes the other. For example, moms take acetaminophen because of pain or infection, and those conditions themselves might affect fetal development. That's confounding. Good science tries to tease apart these intertwined factors. In October 2019, a study in JAMA Psychiatry looked at acetaminophen metabolites in umbilical cord blood, that is a biological marker. They reported that higher levels were associated with increased odds of autism, ADHD, and developmental delays. That study got lots of attention. After all, it's stronger than just a questionnaire, but it still could not exclude residual confounding. Maybe some mothers had fevers, infections, or other exposures that affected brain development directly, so while suggestive, it wasn't proof. By 2021, the debate had gained urgency. In September 2021, an international group of researchers published a consensus statement in Nature Reviews Endocrinology. Their message? Precaution. They did not claim acetaminophen is harmful, but they recommended limiting use, only when medically necessary, at the lowest effective dose and as briefly as possible. According to Nature Rev Endocrinol 2021, forego APAP unless its use is medically indicated, lowest effective dose, shortest possible time. This was wise advice. When questions remain, clinicians and patients often favor caution. But this statement didn't establish causation either. It was an expert consensus built on available evidence. Fast forward to April 2024, here's the tipping point. A JAMA paper analyzed nearly 2.5 million births using sibling comparisons. That design is powerful. You compare two pregnancies in the same family, one with acetaminophen use, one without. Many shared genetic, social, environmental factors well controlled. Result, no significant association between prenatal acetaminophen use and children's risk of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability. Because it addresses many confounders better, this study is currently the strongest evidence against the idea that Tylenol causes autism. In 2025, the scientific community has continued reviewing the evidence. A 2025 review in Environmental Health summarized that most earlier studies reported positive associations, but many were vulnerable to bias. According to Environmental Health 2025, majority of the studies reported positive associations. Then came a political moment. On September 22, 2025, the White House released messaging about mounting evidence linking acetaminophen and autism. On that very day, the FDA also released a statement. A causal relationship has not been established. This shows how public health, politics, and science can get tangled. Strong evidence of causation is still lacking. Given all this, here's what makes sense. Early studies showed associations, but they couldn't exclude confounding. The 2024 sibling-controlled study, the best designed to date, found no link. Medical authorities still consider acetaminophen among safer pain fever options when needed, recognizing the balance between risks and benefits. And very importantly, untreated fever or infections in pregnancy also carry risks. If you're pregnant or planning, don't panic. Don't avoid medication based on fear, but don't self-medicate carelessly either. Always consult a healthcare provider about your particular case.